please start IntelliJ. We're going to create a new project right away. Again, the name technically doesn't matter, but we're going to call it Employee Inheritance. The first E in employee and the I in inheritance are capitalized and the words are run together. And as always, I'm going to right mouse click on the source folder, choose new package, make my com.example, and then come in here. And the first one we're going to do is we're going to create the interface first. All right. We're actually going to do this not ass backwards, but we're going to create the interface, and then we're going to create, because we're going to have 10 different exceptions in here, all right, that we can possibly throw. So I'm going to go down to interface here, and I'm going to call this, how about I employee. All right, make sure it's an interface. It should say interface up here. And we're going to have 4 different kinds of employees, but every employee will have certain things in common. So these will be, I'm going to call these this miscellaneous constants, and there'll be 3 of those. Most of these you've seen already anyway. Oops. Just going to copy this. Oops, that was nice. All right, and the order we do these really doesn't matter, but this is the order I did them. So these will be our hourly employee constants. These are all going to be everything, almost everything we got left are doubles. So, oh, I'm sorry. You know what? We need the word final in there too, don't we? Well, since it's an interface, you really don't need to put in the word final. You can, but you don't have to. Do you both have all these? Okay. Down a little. Oops. Once you finish that, just do a save all or Control S or click, File, save all, whatever you want to do. You both got those done? Okay, good. All right, so that's the interface. Next, we're going to do the 10 different exceptions. So we're going to create 10 different exception classes. The good news is once we get to the actual classes we create, they're not going to be that big because we're doing all this work up front. All right. The order in which we do these, again, isn't going to matter, but I'm just going to give them to the order that I had them. So I'm going to right mouse click on my com.example, new, Java class. We do want this to be a class, and we're going to call this missing SSN exception. Now notice the capitalization. SSN is kind of a given that'll be capitalized, and the E in exception and the M in missing, everything else is lowercase. Can you see that okay? I'm going to capitalize all of them in that way. Okay. All right. So we public class. Remember, when you're doing exceptions, it always extends exception. Now this one, not this one, but some of the other ones will have to implement that interface. This one doesn't have to because it's just a social security number. All right, so we don't have to do that. So public missing SSN exception, paren, and it's going to be super, no social, whoops, not super, sorry, no social security number provided. And to be honest with you, the next two are going to be the first name and the last name. They're almost the same. So let's just grab all this, copy it to the clipboard. Do you have this one? All right, I'm going to right mouse click on the com.example again, new Java class. I'm going to call this one missing first name exception. And again, the M in missing, the F in first, the N in name, and the E in exception. Okay? All right. So I'm going to kind of cheat a little bit here and just paste this in. All right. Again, I'm just, like I said, sort of cheating here, in that, but it's my code, so I'm not really cheating. All right. So that's not there. That didn't work out very well. And this will be missing first name exception. And this will be no first name provided. Okay, I'll leave it up there for a second. And the next one, as you may have already guessed, will be missing last name exception. That we'll do in just a second. Do you both have this one? Okay. Oops, that was neat. Exception, what does it like here? Super, no last name provided. The token public class. Oh, I need my public here. I don't know why I missed that. Public. Missing last name exception. Paren. Curly. All right, so I take it you both got these? Okay. Save that. And I'm just going to close all these. All right. That's, I think, 3 of them. Next, we'll do our hourly. These will be, if you put in something for hourly that's out of range, so these will have to implement iPayroll. Okay? So first one I've got here is out of range hours worked exception, kind of long. See it right there. I did not implement it yet, so I'm going to get an error on mine. You won't if you've already implemented it. So, implements I employee. That should go away after we do this. There it did. What does it like here? Object which cannot be applied to document. Oh, we didn't extend the exception on here. Sorry. Extends exception implements. There we go. There's the first one. Both caught up? All right, then we're going to make another one. And that one's going to be out of range hourly rate exception. Not a qualified name. Class out of range. Hours worked exception. Oh, I've got a space in mine. I don't know how I did that, but I put a space in there. There we go. Again, this will extend exception, and it will implement I employee. Super. Oh, geez, Louise, Jeff. Curly. No, it doesn't like to another instructor. Hourly rate, public class, out of range, hourly rate, exception, super. Oh, come on. Okay. So again, half done. Next, we're going to move over to the commission, and they will also need to implement iPayroll. So again, I'm just going to close these. And this will be out of range commission sales exception. What's that? Oh, I forgot the parentheses. Thank you. Thank you very much. So simple an error. I looked right past it, I guess. Save all. Okay. Next, very similar one, but it's commission rate. So it's out of range commission rate exception. Holy moly. Both are caught up? Good. All right, I'm going to do a file save all, close a couple of these up. And the next one will be out of range salary exception. And there's two more for the piece worker employee. You can have either a piece worker number of pieces exception or a piece worker price per piece exception. So those are the last two. Then we're done. Then we'll actually start writing the regular code. It's pretty long. And the last one. And this will be actually, well, that's fine. It would have been better looking on the screen here. I'm not changing, okay? But it would have been better. I probably should have said this: commission worker out of, rate out of range, etc. They're fine. I just noticed how I just call these two piece worker, but that's fine. So piece worker price per piece out of range exception. You're both good? Okay. Now, like I said, that was a lot to type. All right, we will actually do the driver last. I got the driver here, but we're going to do that last. And I'm just going to do them in order: hourly, then commission, then salaried, then piece worker. So some of this you either written before or almost written before. So let me close these two things. And I'm just going to start. I'm going to start with, what did I call this one? Just hourly. So new Java class. Again, this will be called hourly. Now, if you were working at an actual pro shop, they might have all sorts of standards. Like they might want you to call this hourly employee, hourly worker, whatever. All right. I don't think it's really that big a thing, but you never know. All right. And I've worked at places. I've told you about some of them. Some of them I haven't told you about that basically, they go, for lack of better words, kind of nuts over what they do here. You know what? We're going to have to extend our regular payroll class. So let's make that one first. Otherwise, we're going to get errors on everything we do in here. So just leave this one here. It's not going to hurt anything. But right mouse click. And let's just make a class. We'll just call it employee. I originally called this payroll. I didn't like that name at all. So hopefully I've got employee here. I don't see it. But we'll find it. Commission, salaried. There's the driver. There's piece worker. I didn't print that one out. Give me just a second. Maybe I have it here. Let's see. Where the heck did I put that? That's the interface. Okay, sorry about this. So this extends. No. Right. I think I can write it from scratch, but the point is, I want to make sure that what I give you isn't going to break something later. So that's what I thought. P. All right, I'm going to print it out. So work off that. It's not long. It's 60 lines, so it'll take just a minute. Now, this will be the stuff all employees have in common. Jerry? And we're actually going to do this one too a little bit different. I mentioned this to you yesterday, but it gives me a chance to explain it now. To say that somebody is an employee is, you cannot instantiate or make an employee object. It's too generic. You need to know, are you hourly, piece worker, etc. So when we create this class, which is what we're going to do now, all right? So we've got this public class employee. We're not going to just say public class employee. We're going to say public abstract class employee. You'll notice you don't get any errors. And this will also implement employee. Now, again, we're not going to do this, but in our driver, if we tried to create a regular employee object, we'd get an error because it would say that you cannot instantiate an abstract. So abstract means it's something that's so generic in nature, it's meant to be inherited by other classes. All right? Okay. So this isn't going to be tough because we only have 3 fields in here. So private string first name, private string last name, private string social security number. Again, I want to make sure you get this, and I think you do. All employees, regardless of what kind of employee they are, they will all have these 3 things. Does that make sense? All right. So let's do our constructors. So first will be our no-arg constructor. Again, no arg meaning nothing is passed into it. Notice I put the def first name since we implemented the employee. It recognizes it right away. All right, so that's that one. We're also going to have a full arg constructor where we pass in all 3. Now, I do want you to realize, remember, when we do this, we didn't write our getters and setters yet, right? We're going to do that in just a second. But I want you to realize, we didn't have to do these like this. We could have called set first name and passed in the default value. We could have called set last name and passed in the default value. And we could have called set. So there's 2 different ways of doing it. I've been showing you both ways on purpose because you're going to see both ways. All right? And I'm not saying, because people, well, which one's better? All right? It's whichever one makes more sense to you, I guess, is better. So public employee again. Notice that when I do this, immediately I'm going to get an error. Because now, when you do this, if you haven't heard this term before, and you should have, if you haven't, shame on me, what we're doing is we're doing what's called overloading the constructor. What we'll talk about in here is you can overload and you can override. This is overloading. And that means that you've got 2 methods that have the same name, but the signature, what's in the parentheses, has to be different between them. So this one we're going to pass in all 3. So string the first name, string the last name, and string, I'm just going to call it S for SSN. Everybody okay with that? So just like that. And now I'm going to call, all 3 of these are going to give me errors because we haven't written them yet. Set first name, we're going to pass in the first name. Set last name, and we're going to pass in the last name. and set SSN, I don't know what we call that one, SSN, and we're going to pass in the social security number. All right, again, we're getting errors on all those. They'll be fixed in about 30 seconds. Questions on any of this stuff so far? Because we're going to do our getters and setters, then we have to write 2 more methods, and we're done with this one. All right, so as always, we're going to come up and do code, go to generate, choose getter and setter, and it's all 3 fields. Makes sense? We want to be able to set and get first name, last name, and social security number. So it's all 3. Boom. Those are now done. The errors went away, as you can see. As always, we're going to keep our gets, but we're going to do some finagling, so to speak, on our sets here. All right? So, just like we have done before, okay, we're going to say this dot first name equals, and if the first name dot trim dot equals nothing, not equal, that's why I'm getting the error. If it equals nothing, well, what do we know? If it equals nothing, we want to, so that's question mark, give it the default first name, and if it does equal something, all right, we'll give it first name. And what I'm concerned most with right now, looking at this, can you read that? Does that make sense to you? Take a look at it. And if it doesn't, ask. We are trimming it just in case, again, somebody hits the space bar and puts nothing else in there. All right? So what we're saying is if you put nothing in there, set it to the default. We could have also used a not in there and said if it's not that, we could have set it equal to first name, otherwise set it to default. That may have been better, but it doesn't really matter. All right, I'm going to grab all of this code right here because the last name is pretty much just the same. I just have to change first name to last name. All right, so this will become last name in every one of these. Does that make sense? Be real leery if you do a lot of copying and pasting. I mean, you saw yesterday I forgot to do it, to go and change a couple of them. And it's really easy to make a mistake. All right. Finally, I am going to copy this one again because, again, it's almost the same thing for the Social Security number. But I have to change all of these to SSN, default SSN. Oops. And SSN. Questions on anything we've done so far? Anything? All right, I can already tell that we're doing this so fast that we're going to be done with this by no later than 2, probably earlier. All right. Now we've got to overwrite the public toString method. You've done this before. String, toString. Nothing gets passed into it. And this is where we're going to return. Let's just redo this. We'll return string.format. Okay, I'm doing this a little differently so I can explain it to you afterwards. %s space %s \n. And don't worry about it if it makes no sense. \n. Okay, \n, then SSN \t %s. Okay. And we're going to call here, whoops, let me get that back. Get first name come on. Get last name, and finally get SSN. All right, so you write that, go ahead and key that in, and then we'll go over it. There's literally just one more line. I'm going to type this in now. Public abstract double earnings, paren, there. That's everything. All right.
I'm not exactly sure what I did, but it just deleted the entire thing.
Can you do a Control Z to try to bring it back?
I tried to do that in Outlook.
Then I don't know what happened. Is it, when you say the whole thing, you mean everything we've done so far?
Yeah, it's all gone. I'm not sure what happened.
Whatever you hit must be what you hit the other day. All right. I think this is kind of a finicky editor, so it might be something. It might be an error in the software. Let's finish what we've got. We'll take a break in about 5 or 10 minutes, and I'll just copy the stuff. I'll give you a copy of everything. But I want to go over this now. What Java did, just so you know, is they stole this from the C programming language. They would never admit that, but they did. All right. The S that's in there means it's a string. So %S means we're going to print out a string. So, for instance, if the employee's name was Keegan Young, this first %S would be this. This second %S would be this. And this %S would be this. We could have done it without using this stuff at all, but it gave me a chance to show you that what happens is a lot of times if somebody has learned C first, they immediately look, because in C, you don't use dot format, you use what's called printf, which means print formatted. All right, but it works virtually the same way. So I just put it in there just so you could see that. All right, if that confuses you, again, we could have just literally said here, we could have put, like, for example, right here, we could have put employee first name, colon, plus get first name, etc. We could have done it all like that. This is what's new. All right. This is an abstract method. When you've got an abstract method, hopefully you notice looking at it, it has no body. It's just the name of the method. Any class, listen to what I'm saying. You don't have to look, but listen. Any class that implements this must put in an earnings method. If it does not put in an earnings method, it's going to have an error. You're going to see that right away, because when we start doing the first one, the hourly one, we're going to have errors because it'll say you don't have an earnings method in there. But the way that an hourly person gets their earnings, as opposed to the way a salaried person gets their earnings, as opposed to the way a commission worker gets their earnings, as opposed to the way a piece worker gets their earnings, they're all different. All right. So, for example, this is the kind of the classic example that's given. If we came in here and we created an abstract class called pet, as an example, all pets, I don't know if they do or not, but all pets might have a breed. So we could come in there and we could make breed, for example, something that all pets have. And then if we said all pets, and I know not all of them do, but let's say all pets have a can fly method. Now it's going to be false for some, right? But we could invoke that and put it in there like this. So here we'd say public abstract Boolean can fly. And that means that dogs would have to have a can fly method. We know they can't, but you get the idea. Cats, pigs, birds, etc. All of them. Okay? So that's what this in here is. That's what I'm telling you. So let's do a file, save all, and let's jump back into hourly. In fact, before we do that, why don't we'll take the first break a little bit early, and I'll copy all that stuff over to you. Now let's see, how can I do this? Folder. I'm going to grab everything. Whoops. Grab everything. Why is it not letting me do that? it's because I'm over here. All right. Copy. Hopefully it'll work. Paste. You can put it back in there, right? You know what I'm saying? So. So I made a folder. It's got your name on it. Just says Keegan. It should, no, it's not a problem. Should have everything in there. Now, I don't know if you're going to need this IML file here, because I see this. You might need that. So if you don't have that, I'll probably have to get it back from you and grab that too. These, make sure that you put all of these. So what you should be able to do, Keegan, I think it'll work. If you right mouse click on here, you still have this com.example? You don't have that even. Okay, so make a com.example and then copy all of these into that. I don't know if you can just do a regular like file copy or if you've got to come in here and do, let's see. You can try it. That's all I can say. So you will come in here like this. What do we have here? So here it is. So you will come into source, com, example, and you will copy all those into here. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I think that'll work. I've never tried it, but I think it'll work. Now I'm looking over here. This, you probably, do you have this file that's in here? This employee inheritance.imi file? You might have to go up a level.
Well, I just created a whole new project and I'm just gonna go from there.
All right. But I'm saying if you don't have that one, let me know and I'll let you copy that one too, or I'll copy it for you.
So paste everything back into the example file.
You want it in source, com, example, everything in there, yeah. Like I said, it should work. I probably would have been better off. I wish what I should have done is just taken the whole folder and copied the whole folder in there, and then you could have brought up the whole folder. But it's too late now. So then go back up and tell me if you should have an idea, a .idea file, a folder. You should have that. That gets created when you create the project. Do you have this file though? Employee inheritance.imi.
Yeah.
You do. Does it look like this? You open it. Okay, then you're good. All right.